Hello, and welcome to This Week in Hearing. My name is Gail Hannan, and I am the co-author of the book Hear and Beyond, Live Skillfully with Hearing Loss. Today we are pleased to welcome back Paul Lee, who is the COO, the Chief Operating Officer of InnoCaption, an accessibility technology company that's dedicated to helping people impacted by hearing loss break down the communication barriers and the telecommunication barriers in their everyday life. InnoCaption is FCC entitled and funded through the Telecommunication Relay Service, and this makes its service free for eligible people. Paul, welcome back to This Week in Hearing.
Thank you very much for having me today, Gail.
Those of us who use speech to text services on our smartphones, and that would be me with profound hearing loss, would be so excited to hear about some of these new and exciting, I'm not call them add-ons, but services for InnoCaption. Paul, I am old enough to remember being excited about when phones, ringy-dingy phones, got volume control. That was groundbreaking. That was life-changing for me. Mind you, it was a long time ago, and here we are a million years later with all this new stuff. But before we get into the new services, Paul, could you give us the short version of the big picture of what InnoCaption does?
Sure. And I think you gave a really nice intro into this and a segue, but we are, at the end of the day, an accessibility technology company. And what we're trying to do is make sure that we incorporate the latest innovations in all forms of different technology to create empowering solutions for people with hearing loss. And InnoCaption is a real-time call captioning app that sits on your smartphone. We also offer the app for tablets as well as a web browser-based version as well. And it provides really accurate, fast transcription of your calls. And we are really unique in that we actually provide the captioning through either fully automated speech recognition technology or also through live stenographers. So these would be trained court reporters. And we empower our users to actually switch between either captioning mode at any time, either before or even during phone calls. And this is really unique and something that sets us apart from any other similar technologies or captioning services, specifically for telephones. And as you mentioned, we are FCC certified, which means that anybody in the United States with hearing loss is eligible to use our service free of charge.
That's amazing. Just briefly, I am not in the United States, so I am very envious of that service. And so it's just the United States. Do you ever have any plans to go beyond the United States?
Yeah, it's one where we get requests quite often, especially from our neighbors in Canada, for services like ours and whether we are able to provide it. Given the funding mechanism today is from the FCC, we are constrained to the U.S. Hearing loss community for who we can provide service to today. But we are always looking to engage with other government agencies and funds in different countries around the world to the extent that they are interested in providing services like ours, or if we can find other ways to fund similar services too. So it's definitely something that I would love to have further dialogue with you or anyone up there that has the ability to help us with advocacy or awareness around these types of services and the benefits they can offer.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So now I'm very familiar with speech to text, but now InnoCaption has text to speech services. Can you tell us about them?
Yeah, sure. So this came about because in at the end of 2024, in December, right around Christmas, the FCC actually gave us a new type of certification. So within the telecommunications relay services umbrella that you had previously mentioned in terms of how we're certified and funded, our existing service, the main intercaption service, was what is classified as IP caption telephone service or IPCTS. And this is for people that have hearing loss but are able to speak on their own. And then there is another category of service called IP relay. And this was the kind of traditional relay operations where you would call into a call center and then you are connected with an operator in the middle. And then you would type to that operator what you want to say to the other person on the line. They would speak on the person's behalf and then type back what is being said by the other party. And with that new certification, it actually allowed us to actually help bring a more modern solution that can basically recreate that type of experience, but in a more efficient and fluid way that empowers our users. And so now what our users are able to do, instead of having to call into those relay centers, is use our app to make direct calls. And if they are an IP relay user, they can actually just use text to speech for the full conversation if they would like. And so to make that service even better, we've now come up with new features, predictive text to speech that actually utilizes the advancements in AI technology to actually make that communication faster and better. And so I wanted to just give a bit of that context for why we started developing all of these new features so quickly over the last year. But basically, the main new feature that we are really excited about that we recently did a press release on is called AI Refine. And combining that new feature with some of our saved shortcuts and other features that folks that have used text-to-speech services may already be familiar with, we feel like really empowers people to be able to communicate much more quickly and efficiently in calls. And so what that AI Refine feature does is if I'm having a conversation with you on a phone and you ask me a question, instead of me having to type the full response, the full sentence, character by character, I can actually just type a couple of words to guide the direction of the conversation. And at the tap of a button, the AI will actually take the context of the conversation and what I am guiding towards and actually help me create a natural sounding sentence that fits the conversation. I can then edit that conversation if I want to, or in many cases, it's actually very good and pretty contextual aware. So you're able to then just press a send button and actually send that sentence to be spoken by the AI. And so it's a really, really helpful tool for people to be able to actually use text to speech in a way where it doesn't create a big lag in conversation because the other party is waiting for you to type so much.
So it is taking predictive text to a new level.
Correct.
So I could, if so those phrases, do I as the person do I create those phrases in advance and put them in a library? So if I have LOL, that will expand. Give me an example of what,
Sure,
give me
sure,
an
sure.
example.
It's
Yeah.
a great question. It's a great question because it's so new that we do need to kind of I think explain it to people because it's such a novel concept. So we do have also features like you're talking about where you can pre-save as a shortcut like Gail Hannan with the correct spelling if you want, or your address and things like that as well, that may come up often in like a customer support call and things. And if you use those more like traditional shortcuts, it'll put it into the text to speech field so that I can then edit it and revise it and then press send. And so that is kind of one of our built-in features as well called saved phrases. We also have another one called Quick Speak, which is like a few pre-programmed things that you might actually want to say very often. So one example of a Quick Speak button could be something like, "Can you repeat that?" Or "Can you hold on?" Because I'm typing. And so for those buttons, you can just do a one tap and it'll automatically save, it'll automatically speak those saved phrases, complete phrases. But then AI Refine is actually something that's much smarter than that. It's actually far more advanced than your traditional, autocorrect and things like that that you might have built in to your app. What it's actually doing is if I'm calling, for instance, a bank, and the bank support agent says, "Oh, hello, welcome to Mesmo Bank. How can I help you today?" I can just say fraud charge and then I press the AI button and it'll say, I'm calling about a potential fraudulent charge on my card. So it'll actually make that full sentence for you.
Question.
Yes,
But if I can't say fraud charge, am I typing fraud charge?
correct. You would just be typing that. But instead of having to type that full sentence, you can type a few words like that, press the AI refine button, and the AI will assist you in creating that natural sounding sentence. And so I've also spoken with folks in the deaf community whose primary communication method is ASL. And they were actually quite blown away by this feature too, because they were essentially saying, look, it actually feels like a ASL to English translator as well. And that's absolutely right too, because with ASL, you don't use quite as many words as you do in spoken English, right? And so if you and there's a different grammar structure, but the AI can actually digest and get through all of those things as well and get it to an English, spoken English, natural sounding sentence. So someone that's deaf can also just type a few words of maybe the key signs that they would normally do, for instance, too, and they would type that in and then use the AI to actually help make a natural sounding sentence.
Is it possible that I do that and cap AI refine or whatever it is,
Hmm.
and it goes in a direction I don't want it to go in. It says something that I don't want it to say. It will have said that already. Can I say, oops, that's not what I meant to say?
So great question. So as we were thinking through this product as well, our philosophy with all these AI tools is making sure that there's human control and human in the loop at the important parts. And so totally agree with you that that would not be something we would want people to go through. And so when we have users use that AI refine button, it enters it into the text to speech field so that you can read it and press the send button or edit it if you would like, or even have it generate a new sentence for you instead if you don't like the direction. And so we don't have the AI just go ahead and speak for you right away. For those kinds of instant speaking features, we only do that for like the quick speak buttons where you've already pre-saved an entire phrase that's verbatim to your liking.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're not doing full speeches here. It's quick phrases. Is that what you're?
Correct.
I'm overwhelmed already, and but I'm sure someone who is using this service will. Obviously, there will be tutorials and things, and because it's not a service that I would need, I guess it's just blowing me away that this is available. Um,
And Gail, if I could actually, it's a great
Please.
point that that it is such a new service that we are very aware that it's also something that maybe even needs a bit of getting used to be able to learn how to use. And so what we actually also created within the InnoCaption app is an advanced test call feature. And the reason I say it's advanced is because normally in the past, when we've had a test call button, it would just play a monologue of audio so that people could see what the captioning looks like. But then we knew that with these text to speech features, especially, people would probably need to be able to practice it and see how they would use it in a real life conversation. So now in our app, when you press make a test call, you can actually choose between different AI agent profiles. There's one that's an audiologist office, there's one that's like a pizza shop, and there's one that's a bank. And when you press that test call button, you actually get connected to a voice AI agent. It's fully private. We don't save any other conversations, and it's free to for users to give it a try. But the nice thing with these AI agents is you can speak to it, whether you're speaking verbally with your directly or with our text to speech function. You can try it out, and it'll actually give you mock responses and things too, so you can actually try these features live.
Wow. Wonderful. Now, you're mentioning these are the examples that you were giving were like service calls when you're calling to an audiologist office or a bank. Um, in regular communication with your girlfriend or boyfriend or family members, would this service apply? Or I guess users of InnoCaption might know. Tell me a bit more about that. Is it useful in all types of conversations?
Yes, absolutely. And we've also spoken with users who have cochlear implants, for instance. There was an example of one user who said, when I don't have my cochlear implants in, let's say my mom calls me in the morning all of a sudden, and before I've gotten my ears in, I'll struggle for with controlling my voice volume, or I might be slurring a little bit. And so in those situations, he said that I really like the fact that I can actually just use this text to speech feature to be able to communicate as well on those calls too, for situations like that, even if it's not uh, every day and every call that they might need it. And so with InnoCaption, a lot of your users use it for both calls to friends and family as well as these external places like the banks or other customer support centers. Now, having said that, I think we have another new app-based service that actually I think people are going to use even more for some of these friends and family calls that I would love to share with you about as well.
Well, I do, and I want to hear about that because, but I just want to go back to
Yeah.
someone doesn't put their cochlear implant on first thing in the morning. So, and it's not for me. I get up and on it goes. I can't imagine, but I think that does take the pressure off if you are momentarily caught without, what would say, without our ears and a call comes in. So I think that that is amazing. So, great. So tell me about this other new exciting feature.
Yeah, so we actually just recently launched a new app called InnoCaption Video. And this comes from years of feedback from our users saying, I love using the InnoCaption app for all of these external calls that I have to make to different places where they don't take any other form of communication. It's not like I can text a customer support center or anything like that. But for calling close friends and family, I really like using FaceTime because it helps me read lips, see the visual cues and expressions and things. Can you help get captions on FaceTime? And then later, we also did uh, note that FaceTime offers built-in captioning, but we still got a lot of users saying, "Can you provide it for us? Because we are not quite happy with the level of accuracy and quality that the built-in FaceTime captions offer." And so it's something that we've been mulling over ways to improve on a service like that for some time. And recently, we were finally able to release a new app called InnoCaption Video, where it's that familiar video calling experience, one-on-one video calling experience with your friends and family, but there is an always on caption screen at the bottom of the screen. And you can actually adjust the size of both the caption screen and the video to meet whatever needs you have and what's visually the most comfortable for you. You can resize the font size and the text size anytime you want as well. And actually, really importantly, both sides of the call, both parties on the call, see the captions at all times. And we actually think that this is really important, especially because the InnoCaption video app uses only fully automated captioning. We think that this is really important because then the friend or family member on the other side of the call can also see how their voice is being captioned and actually call out or repeat things that maybe are uh, mis captioned in terms of the text because they're able to read along as well.
I think that's fantastic. And I know that although I do love me my FaceTime, because of the reason that you mentioned, being able to see the lips, seeing the emotions, seeing, all of the things that go on with interpersonal communication. But the captioning sometimes is in small bits up here, and I also don't see my words being captioned. And it just occurred to me that has been a bit of a problem for me. I would like to see both sides because I'm used to seeing both sides, right? So, are all of these services like available now for your clients?
Yeah, so InnoCaption Video is new, but it is fully available and completely free of charge as well. The nice thing with InnoCaption Video is that we only bill to the FCC calls where it is an FCC eligible user on one side or more of the call. But because it's an app-to-app calling experience, our users are actually able to invite friends and family to download that application, unlike the main InnoCaption application, so that they can actually get connected as friends on the app and to be able to make calls to them directly through that app. So um, it's a really nice cross-platform service. It also works between Android and iOS devices as well. So we're really, really excited to hopefully make a great impact for anyone that has hearing loss that needs this type of calling experience.
I think that another benefit is that it will help for people with hearing loss. It will help our family and friends and the people we communicate with better understand the what are the impact of having hearing loss on us, and it will better help them better understand the need for better communication. And it looks like your services uh, are really addressing this. Maybe it's a side benefit, but I see it as a being very emotionally satisfying as well, to increase and deepen the communication between those with hearing loss and those who don't have hearing loss, but um, love us and or need to communicate with us. So that's great. Um, I think, is there anything else that you've added to your service that you want us to know about? This is so
There,
great. Anything
there,
else?
there are so many, and I did want to just touch on that last point that you were making, in that I think for us, we have team members involved in the business, like our co-CEO Joe, who has hearing loss himself. Others like myself do not, but I think raising awareness around the need is so critical, and so really, really, I think what you said resonates with me as well, because as I've learned and listened to our users, um, and really seen some of the challenges that they face, it really has been one where it has made me a better communicator too. And I think that that is also something that we would love to be able to spread more awareness around and maybe make a bit more of a change in that way. Because if I'm a user and I'm also seeing the captions, and whenever I'm on a call, I'm always reading how my voice is being captioned as well. It's kind of part of the job, but it's also one where I believe it's made me a far more articulate and clear communicator as well, because I want to make sure that what I'm communicating is understood properly by the other person, whether they're hearing or have a hearing loss.
Well, you certainly are articulate and a clear communicator. And we know that hearing loss affects communication. It saves its biggest punch for relationships. Communication is the glue that connects us to each other. And by having these uh, new apps, new services, new ways to increase communication, it only improves all of our lives. Paul Lee, Caption, thank you so much for taking time and sharing it with us. And I'm sure it'll be very successful. So thanks very much. And we'll have you back next year when you probably have a lot of new stuff that you want to share with us.
That sounds great, Gail, and happy to come and share anytime, and also to get into any of these topics with you in more depth.
Oh, thank you.